After using the ARB fridge for the last few years, I finally had enough of the half-open lid struggle. Got a new fridge with a deal. A little DIY to mount it along with my portable battery on top of the drawers.
You want to shove it in?
This video will show you how I mount it and connect the Adventure King's drawer fridge without using their dingy hardware.
The fridge is now on an Ironman fridge slide. There's one thing though, it does fit my ARB 47-liter fridge, maybe without the insulation sleeve. So right now it's actually sitting on top of the grid instead of inside the grid, but once I strap it down, it's fine. It still doesn't move. However, I have a hatch on top. The fridge can't really open fully, which makes taking things out a little difficult. You can sort of fit up a slide that comes down, like a drop-down slide for it that might solve the problem, but the price tag on those things are normally pretty high. So I did a little bit of research. There are two options I'm mainly looking at. One is a drawer style fridge that basically just align as another separate drawer, but instead it is a fridge inside. Or you could go with an upright fridge, which is mostly mimicking your home fridge. I have an assumption that because cold air travels down, it's heavier. Every time you open an upright fridge, I'm just picturing how the cold air just floats down and you tend to have a bit more energy loss, but that is just my assumption. It could totally be not so important, or the energy loss could be very minimal. It may not even be the fact, just my assumption.
Another thing that bugs me is the battery. Since I don't have a dual battery setup in this cruiser, I run the fridge on a Jackery, but I also rely on the Jackery to cook. So every time I had to bring the Jackery out from behind the fridge to the table, dragging all sorts of cables. I want to set the Jackery somewhere that leaves a plug within reach so I don't have to move it around so much. I wasn't really looking particularly, but stumbled upon a sale, so I got a new fridge.
I'll show you guys. This is the Adventure King's 30-liter drawer fridge, and in true Asian fashion, guess how much? The main reason I went with this really is just about the price. The whole fridge comes down to less than 400 Australian dollars. So if you are watching from Australia, I'm sure you already know, 4-wheel drive super center, Adventure Kings, they have a lot of gears at very, very affordable entry-level pricing. And most of the time, they do the job and get you out there and put you on the road faster.
I decided to give it a try and see if I like the style fridge to begin with. So this video is not a product review, it's how I make it fit into my cruiser.
There is one catch though. If you are ordering from North America like I am, or perhaps anywhere else other than Australia, they do not ship outside Australia. So what I did was I bought this on the website and had them mailed to Harry at Fire 2 Fork. The legend at Fire 2 Fork shipped this to me along with some cool spatulas and a shirt. Thank you, Harry. Oh yeah, this is actually a spatula. At first I thought it was some sort of Australian weapon, like, you know, like a boomerang, but it's curved wood grain. Anyways, thanks, Harry. Very nice little latch. They already got some divider inside. They're all removable or adjustable. Instruction sheets and some hardware. Your buttons up here. Temperature, I would assume. I'll have to connect them to the battery to see how that actually function and work. One catch though, it does not come with a charging cable or a power cable. Though it runs on an Anderson plug, so you will have to source your own cable. I will put a link down below of the cable I end up using.
They give you 4 little brackets and bolts. The fridge comes with nutsets all around. They want you to connect 2 brackets on each side using their bolts and source your own fasteners to secure down to the mounting surface. My Ironman drawer is 3/8 plywood on the top, which is pretty thin, and I don't like the idea of running only 4 tiny screws. So we'll make our own mount.
So instead of using the 2 tiny brackets they provided, I've cut some 1.5 by 1.5 angle aluminum but chop one side slightly skinnier just so that it doesn't take too much real estate on my platform.
Drill 2 holes on the non-cut side to match the fridge's nutset's location, then 5 holes on the trimmed side. That will be your screw down holes. Use countersink bit after drilling to round the sharp edges. To hold the battery on top of the fridge, I cut 4 2x2x1/8 aluminium angles, 2 in 20-inch length and the other 2 in 15 5/8 and coped. Drill holes on the 20-inch angles to match the nutserts on top of the fridge.
I don't know if they intended to do these nutserts all around for this purpose, but works well pretty good for my case. They are just M6 bolts, so we just flopped out some of the bolts that we took out from Land Cruisers. Most of the 10mm coming out of the Toyota, apparently it's M6, so I just end up using them. For the front and back, I coped 2 pieces of angle to go inside here that will snug fit the Jackery front and back, so we'll have 2 in here.
Then weld the 2 coped pieces to form a box for the battery to sit in. Aluminium don't really need paint since they won't rust, but I thought giving it a layer of flat black will match the fridge better. I also snapped a corner of the foam from fridge packaging to paint the bolt heads. I should have done this before paint, but I forgot. I drilled some holes on the battery mount for hooking bungee straps. Touch up a layer of paint and we'll be good to go. Because nutserts have a tiny lip that protrude above the skin, the angles can't sit flush on the fridge skin, so we'll add a 1/16 foam tape along the edges. This will also prevent scratches on the fridge, if you care. For the battery bracket, I made the cradle about 3/16 inches larger each side than the battery dimension. Then use 1/4 inch thick foam tape along the perimeter so the battery sits inside, it will be nice and snug, and no scratch.
So I wasn't able to find an Anderson 212V directly, but they do sell Anderson plugs on their own and it's pretty easy to wire them in. Did not really need to solder because this kit specifically, it came with this sort of knob. Essentially you just press them together.
Strip out more wire, crimp into the connector.
You want to shove it in.
It's recommended to have an inline fuse, so the 12V adapter I'm using has a 15 amp fuse inside. Red to positive, black to negative, into the Anderson plug until it clicks. I am powering the fridge from the Jackery. You could hardwire it if you have a dual battery setup. I'll put the links of the items I found in the description. Basically, all you need is a 12V open end and an Anderson plug.
Hey, guess the fridge is on right now. I guess let's set it at 4 degrees. While you're on the trail on some bumpy roads, I would just add a bungee cord across through the handle to the other side. Should be able to suffice with 1 cord. Otherwise, you can always hook another one diagonally across.
I intentionally put the battery cradle a bit recessed so the front part of the fridge acts as a platform to hold small items for charging.
So if you are thinking about a similar setup, a drawer fridge on top of your drawer system, and with some other stuff stacked on top that you don't want them to tumble around, make a simple frame for that. Change the frame for the fridge if you don't think the factory one is good enough. Hope this helps, and if you have more questions about how I did certain detailed steps that I did not explain, let me know in the comments. I will try my best to answer you. Pretty fun little project. I'll see you in the next one. Is it gonna reach? It like just doesn't reach. Well, you think you're long enough? Think again.